All right, today we're opening up a master toolkit, but this one, it isn't filled with hammers and wrenches. Nope, it's packed with powerful insights into how the human mind learns. We're diving into the fascinating science of educational psychology.
It's a question that really gets to the heart of education, right? We've all had teachers who were pretty good, and then a few we remember as being truly great. So, what's the secret ingredient? What is that X factor that makes all the difference in a classroom? Because let's be honest, being an expert in math or history, that's one thing. But guiding a room full of students, each with their own way of thinking, their own background, their own spark, well, that's a whole other ballgame. It's definitely an art, but as we're about to see, it's also a science.
And this is where we really start to find some answers. You see, those great teachers have a sort of secret weapon. They understand the actual science behind how we learn. So let's take a look at what that science is.
This is it, right here, educational psychology. It's literally the field dedicated to cracking the code of the classroom. And this isn't just a bunch of abstract theory. It's all about applying psychological principles to solve the real-world problems teachers face every single day.
And this isn't some newfangled idea either. Pioneers like B.F. Skinner boiled it down to its absolute essence. And what's so powerful about this simple definition is that it focuses on the interaction, that dynamic space between a teacher and a learner. That's where the magic really happens.
So really, when you get right down to it, educational psychology is that toolkit we were talking about. It gives educators a whole set of scientifically backed tools they can use to build a better, more effective learning environment for every single student.
Okay, so if it's a toolkit, what's inside? Let's pop the latches and take a look at the major areas this science really zooms in on.
What I find so fascinating here is the balance. A huge chunk of the focus, a full 80%, is on just two things: understanding the learner's mind and figuring out the learning process itself. But that last 20%, that's just as critical. That's about the teacher turning the lens around and understanding their own impact in the classroom. Now, to make this all feel a bit more real, let's pull just one tool out of the kit and see how it works. We're going to take a quick glimpse into how a child's mind actually develops. Okay, first, we have to get a key distinction straight. Growth? That's the easy part. It's physical, getting taller, bigger, stuff you can measure with a ruler or a scale. Development, though, that's the qualitative change in how we think, how we understand the world. It's this amazing, progressive series of orderly changes that happens throughout our lives.
And when it comes to mapping out this cognitive journey, pretty much no one did it better than the psychologist Jean Piaget. His work gives teachers an incredible roadmap to understand the very structure of their students' thinking at different ages.
So Piaget laid out these 4 major stages, and each one represents a fundamental shift in how a child's mind actually works. We go from just sensing and moving, to using language, to thinking logically about concrete things, and then finally, to reasoning about totally abstract ideas. It's a truly remarkable journey. And this comparison just illustrates that change so brilliantly. A young child in that pre-operational stage is egocentric. I mean, they genuinely believe that everyone sees the world exactly the way they do. But just a few years later, bam, they hit the concrete operational stage, and they develop this incredible ability to see things from someone else's point of view. So let's try a classic test of this idea. I want you to look at these 2 glasses. Now, the amount of water is identical. We just changed the container. So, which one has more water? Your answer actually reveals a lot about your stage of cognitive development. A child in that pre-operational stage will almost always point to the tall glass. Why? Because their brain can only focus on one thing at a time. In this case, height. They haven't grasped the concept of conservation. But a child in the next stage gets it. They can mentally pour the water back and understand the amount never changed. Now, for a teacher, knowing this is a total game changer. It explains why simply telling a younger kid something might not work. You have to show them. So let's bring it all back home. This amazing insight from Piaget is just one tool out of hundreds. So how does a teacher take this entire toolkit and use it to become one of those truly great educators we all remember? Well, what this science does is it fundamentally elevates the role of a teacher. They're no longer just, instructors delivering information. They become learning architects, skillfully designing experiences based on a deep understanding of their students' cognitive and emotional blueprints.
And this is why it all matters so much. This toolkit isn't just about theory. It empowers teachers to understand their students on a really profound level, to pick the right strategy for the right moment, to solve problems, and even to get some serious insight into their own teaching styles. It's the very foundation of effective, empathetic education.
And that leaves us with one last big thought. We've just seen the science behind teaching a child. But you know what? These principles, they don't just stop at the classroom door. They apply to how we all learn, communicate, and grow throughout our entire lives. So the next time you try to learn something new or explain an idea to a friend, just ask yourself, which tool from this kit do you need?